Alright, so today I want to talk about a brand new app that's taken over the dating world by storm. It's called T. And essentially what it does is it allows women to anonymously leave reviews on men by creating public profiles for them and commenting specifically all of the negative experiences they had on them, any bad qualities that they have, etc., etc. And the whole premise is really disgusting. It basically paints men as predators or creeps, and it allows women to assume the role of being a victim or someone who got taken advantage of. Now, obviously, just hearing the brief description of the app, you can start to imagine what issues will arise when it becomes even more widely used and more men's profiles become compiled and put into the database that is T. But there's a few main points that I want to touch on. Number one, this is essentially the latest chapter in the culmination of what is the male versus female culture war. You know, quote unquote, toxic masculinity versus female empowerment. And we're seeing it play out in possibly the worst way so far. Not only does it give women the chance to totally lie about men, but also ruin any future opportunities that they will have if they want to continue dating and want to find a woman. And I have a perfect example of that right here.
My nigga, how the fuck did I get on the T app? I used to work with him. He gave me gay vibes. Nigga, what? Nigga, I only worked one job with females, bro. And I was at Olive Garden when I was a server. And the reason why I didn't fuck with none of y'all is because y'all was already fucking all the niggas on the job. Peep this. The niggas already told me, showed me text proof on who the fuck was already getting cracked. There was nobody at the Olive Garden that wasn't getting cracked on Camp Creek Parkway. So you mad I have self-respect? You mad that I didn't give you the attention that you wanted and added to your high body count? And then the first given opportunity, you want to slander my name? What the fuck is wrong with you, gang? You need serious help. T-App, go ahead and make a male version. Now. I mean now.
Now, this whole gender war started way back in like the 40s, 50s, and 60s. It started with women's suffrage, and then it moved on to women getting into the workforce, and then it continued on to the sexual revolution, and so on and so forth. And it's really sad to see that this is what it's come to. A Pew Research survey, I believe it was a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, they did a study, and it showed that about 70% of men ages 18 to 30 are single, and that double the amount of women in that same age range are in a relationship. And we know what that means. That means the women in that age range are dating men who are older, or dating the same men who are within that same age group. And there's a lot of reasons as to why this may be. But obviously the rise of social media, the continued reclusive behavior of modern men, the lack of job opportunities, rising living costs, housing, food, travel, etc. It just continues to skew things in favor of women and out of favor of men. But I wouldn't even want to frame it as in favor of women because they're just harming themselves even more by continuing in this type of behavior. Divorce rates are at an all-time high, as we've known for quite some time. Less and less women are having children, which is leaving them even less fulfilled in their later years in life. And they're depending on quote-unquote good men to take care of them when they do hit their 30s because they know that their biological clock is running out of time. All the while, young, working-age men are getting left behind. And I'm not talking about slightly left behind. They're getting left miles behind. In America alone, more women own households than men do, which if you even thought that was a possibility 10, 15, 20 years ago, people would look at you like you're crazy. And the sad thing is, a lot of these men who do appear on the app and get reviews left upon them, they have no chance to defend themselves because the app limits users to females only, which leads me to my second point. Slander, defamation, and there's no due process. This app is essentially a digital burn book, but it doesn't get burned. Anyone can say anything about you. Men can't respond to it, they can't correct the statements, and they can't defend themselves. Once your name is posted and you get reviews on your profile, you're guilty by association. No evidence needed. And what it does is it totally weaponizes emotion without accountability. Let's say, for example, a woman had a really negative experience with a guy where they were enjoying each other's company, but the way things ended left a sour taste in her mouth. Let's say that they had a good time on dates, they had a good time in bed, but the guy didn't want to commit to her in the end. It still creates an environment where women can just say whatever they want to paint you in the worst light possible and face no repercussion from it. It's insane. Which brings me to my next point. The issue of privacy. Women can upload photos of the man, the city he lives in, other personal info, under the guise of asking for the tea. Features like reverse image search and background checks are built in, often behind paywalls. And this just creates a scenario where any man in America can be tracked, shamed, and harassed. I've seen screenshots where women are in the comments of a man's profile asking for his social handles, and women wonder why men are scared to talk to them. It's just childlike behavior, and it reinforces a bunch of negative stereotypes that men already have about women nowadays. We see it on social media all the time. And it's reflected in our culture. All the content we consume. We see it in movies. We see it in music. We see it in TV shows all the time. Women can rack up body counts. Women bragging about not cooking, not cleaning, sleeping around. I'm not going to get too graphic, but you know what I'm talking about. And this isn't anything new. This has been around for a while. It's just been accepted ever since the late 2010s. And the topic of this culture brings me to my next point. The culture of clout and thought behavior. I'm kind of aging myself by using the term thought, but a thought is basically a promiscuous woman. Let's put it that way. This app, T, incentivizes gossip, not growth. It rewards negative behavior. It rewards slander. It doesn't reinforce anything positive for women. Women who dated someone or claim to have dated someone can farm likes, engagement, and support by posting their quote-unquote tea on him. And it just glamorizes being a victim as a form of identity. We've seen the glorification of a lot of negative things, and it's just gradually gotten worse and worse and worse with every generation. And this is possibly one of the worst things I've seen in my lifetime. One notable thing about women of the newer generations is that they have no accountability. If they post a provocative photo of themselves on social media and get a lot of likes, and their man or the guy that they're seeing gets upset about it, he's insecure. If they go to a party and end up drunk and hugging on some other guy, and their partner gets upset about it, their man's insecure. If they don't block the weirdo who's commenting on all of her posts and trying to DM her all the time, and her partner gets upset, he's insecure. None of the wrongdoing is on her end. It's her partner who's in the wrong for feeling a certain way about it. Talking about how men feel and will feel about this leads me to my next point, which is the inevitable male response to this. And in my opinion, it's not much better. In response to the T app, I've already seen another app spring up on the App Store called BoxScore. Now, I don't know if it's real or not, but it's been talked about on Twitter. And it's essentially the same thing. It's men rating women in the exact same way. They talk about the negative qualities of that woman, and essentially what it allows them to do is calculate the amount of bodies the woman has racked up, or the amount of men she slept with. Now, don't get me wrong. Back when I was dating, I would have jumped at the opportunity to use an app like this because I was experiencing red pill rage. I didn't understand how a woman could behave a certain way. The second serious girlfriend I ever had was totally my type. This is back when I was 23. I had just started using Tinder, and I was still kind of in the blue pill, someone's out there destined for me mindset. And I saw this girl's profile, and she was totally my type physically. And she also seemed like she was kind of, innocent and cute and whatnot. And right when I saw her, I was like, this is the girl that I want. Crazy enough, we matched. And we ended up hanging out, and we clicked instantly. We got along great. Physical attraction was there. Chemistry was there on multiple levels. My intention was to be serious from the get-go, but obviously you have to play the game. And when I brought up the idea of a relationship with her, I started asking her important questions, like, when was your last relationship? How long has it been since you slept with someone? How many men have you slept with? She was like, like 6 or 7. And she was only 19 years old at the time. I was 23. And I was like, 6 or 7. Damn, that's a lot. But she was really pretty. So I let it slide. Now, mind you, I had only been with one girl prior to this. And this girl had such an innocent look and such an innocent vibe. When I was around her, I was like, she seems like she could be a real one, But when she told me she slept with 6 or 7 guys, I was like, so you don't even know how many you slept with? 6 or 7 by the time you're 19 is pretty crazy. That means you either started early or you started late and you racked up a lot of bodies in a quick amount of time. Both of which are pretty bad. So the relationship continues. I still live with my parents during this time, so we used to have to hang out at the hotel or at her dorm. So we were at the hotel, we hung out, and I eventually got her to open up about her past. And it's crazy because she told me that out of all the guys she slept with, that I was the best in bed with her. And I was a bit skeptical because I had only been with one girl prior to her. And I'm a healthy guy, lifelong athlete, played soccer all my life, never drank, never smoked, never did drugs, did a lot of weight training, so I was strong and I had a good physique. Point is, when she told me that, it prompted me to ask her the question, so how many guys have you been with? And what she told me blew my mind. She sat up, she looked me dead in my eyes, and she said, I don't know. I lost count. Now, I didn't show my reaction on my face, but my heart sank. I felt like throwing up. The innocent, shining, pretty, cute, butterfly girl that I wanted to save, that image was gone. It was just like poof, and all the little remnants fell to the ground. I totally lost attraction to this girl. And it really did break my heart. That was the second time ever that I went through a breakup that permanently affected me, and I will say it affected me for the better. And I really grew from that. That feeling that I had stuck with me, and it dragged on through the remainder of our relationship. We dated for about 9 months in total, but the reason why the relationship ended, there was no cheating or anything like that. We were on campus, we just had dinner, and I had to tell her, I'm like, hey, what you told me about your past really doesn't sit right with me, and I don't see a future with a girl who has this much experience. So we sat there for a bit, and then she turned towards me and said, if that's how you feel, why did you start dating me in the first place? And I said, I mean, you told me you slept with maybe 6 or 7 guys. You didn't tell me that you lost count. And we sat there for a bit, sat there a little quietly. Sometimes there's nothing to say. You just let that feeling linger. And I started the car and I drove her back to her car. And she was really sad that I sprung that up upon her so suddenly. She gets out, she gets in her car, and she drives off. And that was basically the end of that relationship. And it sucks because she had all the potential in the world to be a great partner. She could cook, she could clean, she didn't cheat. She's very physically attractive, totally my type. But I know it wouldn't sit well with me, and it's definitely going to affect her ability to pair bond in the future. And this story is really relevant because if I could go back to 23-year-old me and ask him would he honestly want an app like this, I would say yes, I do want an app like that because I don't want to run into women like this. I don't want to run into women who have been ran through. But my current self understands the negativity that comes from this, that this app, in response to the T app, is just going to perpetuate this whole issue even more. Will there be some short-term benefits? Yeah, I can definitely see that. But men already know that the average woman has a lot of bodies. Why does it matter who she slept with? Why does it matter if it's 10 bodies versus 30 bodies? Anything over 3, in my opinion, is really bad. Call me old-fashioned, call me traditional. Call me whatever you want. I don't really care. That's just my standard. And I think apps like these are almost as evil as something like a social credit system or the Salem witch trials. You get accused once, and that's it. That's your reputation. There's no chance to defend yourself. The only thing guys can do in response is make the exact same claims about these very women who are making claims about them. It feeds into the divide. It feeds into the controversy. It's not good for society. And essentially what I'd like to close with is we don't need more apps to expose people. We need more people who don't use these apps. And I don't mean to be cliche, but really, go outside. Spend time in nature, exercise, create hobbies. Get used to exercising your social muscle. Spending all this time online, relying on apps for your validation, for your instant gratification, for anything else, is just a recipe for disaster. Now, obviously, I'm not going to change the world, but talking about the potential issues that could arise from an app like this, in the very least, can help a little bit. What are your guys' thoughts on this whole thing? Do you think apps like this do more harm than good? Do you think that the male version of this app would be even better? I foresee a lot of lawsuits and people suing each other in the near future based on what's going to happen if more people end up using this app. And at this point, society's just even more cooked than it was before. Would you want your entire dating history summarized by one angry ex you had or one negative experience you had? Or even worst case scenario, if your name showed up on this app, how would that make you feel? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, not just as a man or as a woman, but someone who cares about what this culture is turning into. I think as long as you can focus on yourself and what you can control, you can avoid being put in situations like this. And while the future can seem hopeless at times, it never is that hopeless. And like I always say, keep doing the small things because the small things add up and that's what makes the big difference. Have a good rest of your day or night, and I'll see you next time.
Room right above y'all. Go around. Hurry up, dude.
Kill this one. They pushing me.
Right there. Look up. Turn around. Look over. Go, bro, jump down there. Kill him. Kill him. Kill that guy too. Yeah. Reload. Take your time. Calm down. Put some plates on. Now get out of there. Up that. Right there. He's right there. To your right. Hard right.
That nigga's cheating.
Stay sharp.
To your left.
Bobby, stick.
Let's go. Oh, no.
1 of 5 remaining.
Damn.